7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hello, and welcome to Depraved Indifference to Intelligent Life. I'm Pravi. I'm your host for this podcast thingy, and this is Bootsy. He's down here hiding because he wants to be fed. And that's what he does, isn't that right, buddy? Yes. Now, first off, I'd like to apologize for not having any videos out this past week gone by. There was a very unique confluence of events that ended up with me being kind of sick and then recovering from that. You probably heard my voice was a little scratchy. I was recovering from that. And then certain things happened, the potential of a new job, being back to work at my old job, as well as certain unique opportunities popped up over the weekend just gone by that I had to attend to and could not miss. So it ended up being a whole lot of no real spare time for me in the end of things. And that's kind of why I didn't get any out. I tried, but it just wasn't meant to be. So I kind of had an unscheduled week hiatus. But that being said, I'm back now, and I've got a few things to talk about here in this particular one. Let's see. First off, as you'll be seeing soon in my You Should Be Reading episode, I have read The Martian, and I quite enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the heck out of it, really. It was just an amazing little science fiction book. Very well written, very much written to appeal to normal people. It wasn't too hard sci-fi. I've also read through the first two books of the four novel series by Ellie Modesitt Jr. of the Ecolitan matters. I don't know if that's the exact name of it, but it's the Ecolitan. What is it? The Ecolitan Operation, the Ecologic Succession, and I'm on the Ecologic Envoy right now. After I finish that, I'll be on to the Ecolitan Enigma, which will wrap up that little thing. Hard sci-fi from Mr. Modesitt, and as always, with all of his books, I'm quite enjoying them all very much. The first two are kind of like the beginning, and then the second two are set 400 years later in the same timeline. He does that a fair bit with some of his things. He'll go, okay, here's a little bit of the history, and then he's like, I'll jump ahead or I'll jump into the past and show some more about this particular land and how this came to be or what happened after the events in the last novel. He's very big on consequences and showing in his novels how one thing happening, one event can cause other things to happen down the way. And I really like that. I really like that he's even down to the details of his magic within the Recluse Saga, which is like 16, 17, 18 books long now, with the Order and Chaos magic. He goes into a lot of detail on that and shows the consequences of using the magic that they have. And I really, really like that. It's what appeals to me for some of his stuff. What else is there? Oh, yes. So I saw the Superman v Batman trailer that's been released. The new one that shows a bit of Wonder Woman, has some conversation with Bruce Wayne and Batman, Lex Luthor, or Lex, I guess, maybe not the Lex Luthor right here, and also showing probably Doomsday, possibly somehow created from the body of General Zod. I don't know. All I know is I'm probably going to see the movie, maybe not in theaters. I don't know about that, but I will probably check the movie out. I mean, it's Batman v Superman, Ben Affleck. I love Ben Affleck. Seeing him as Batman slash Bruce Wayne could be interesting, especially an older version. So definitely interested in checking that out at some point. But I don't know. The trailer kind of left me a little meh, because it seemed to really give the entire plot of the movie away um, in those 3 minutes. Basically, highlighting all the bullet points of what's going to happen in the movie, and I don't like that. I don't like it when trailers do that. Take the Star Wars trailers for example. It showed you a lot of really cool stuff. Same as the Batman v Superman trailer showed you a lot of really cool stuff. But the Star Wars Force Awakens trailer has yet to reveal any of the plot. I mean, you know the basics. Han Solo's going to be in it. We know Leia and Luke Skywalker is going to be in it. We know that one guy is a stormtrooper and probably becomes a Jedi. We know there's a girl who's involved. We know that there's a new Empire, new bad guys. There's a guy with a red lightsaber. He's probably a Sith Lord. We know all of this from the trailer, but that tells us nothing of the actual plot of the story, which I like. I like being surprised by a movie. So it was kind of disappointing to me in that regard. Hmm. But I just finished, not that long ago, about 2 hours ago, I just finished watching the last episode in the latest season of Doctor Who. And this is the second season with Capaldi in it, I do believe. And I am really enjoying his portrayal of the Doctor. Very, very much a bit of a darker Doctor, kind of almost a callback to the old grumpiness of the first uh, incarnation of the Doctor. Uh, very, 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 very grumpy. So I really, really like that. But the ending of this and the way it's progressed up to this point with Clara Oswald and the the arrival of Missy, the mistress, the female time lady now that used to be the master. I extremely liked that because I didn't expect it. I spent the entire first season with Capaldi thinking that is probably, oh, who is that? That could be the Ronnie. Oh, the Ronnie. That would be amazing if that would be the Ronnie. I'd like to see her show up because that's an underused time lady villain. Um, Maybe some of that. But even though it was uh, the Master in a female form, I really liked her acting. I really liked her portrayal. She kind of captured that manicness that John Sim portrayed as the Master. Um, and I have a theory about that, um, which I'd like to side quest off into here for just a little bit. Um, Back when the Master first came about, in that season with Martha Jones, there was a couple of episodes where the Doctor disguised himself as human using a fob watch, and then later on, the Master had done a similar thing, disguised himself as human, and ended up coming back to himself when the Doctor pointed out the fob watch, and it popped himself open. All this good stuff happened. So I really liked that. But I think, and this is my fan theory, I think the watch that the Doctor used to do that ended up falling into the hands of the Master. And the Master used it to cloak himself, to hide himself. But there was still that little bit of residue of the Doctor on it. And that little bit of residue of the Doctor kind of infected the Master because the Master, before he regenerated into John Sims' face, using that actor, before he regenerated was a lot more like the Master of old. But after he popped up after the fob watch got into him and he regenerated and whatnot, um, after that happened, once he regenerated, he acted a lot more like the uh, the new Doctor. He acted a lot more like David Tennant's version of it. Very, very manic, very, very gabby, talkative and whatnot, all over the place, and brilliant and amazing. So there was a lot of that going on, and I like to think that the Master got a little bit of the Doctor in him, and that little bit of the Doctor has helped to change him over the course of over the course of the Master being in the Doctor so far, to the point that he can actually kind of do good things, which he has done. Now, getting back on track, where I was with the Doctor, the new Doctor Who with Clara Oswald, they've kind of been leading up to her death in this. Now, for those of you who probably have been watching, by the time this goes up tomorrow, you'll have seen it. But if not, spoiler warning here. Naturally, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard that the actress for Clara is going to be leaving the series. So naturally, they're going to get rid of her somehow, usually by death. But it's interesting. I liked what they did because the last 3 episodes were kind of a big three-parter in a way. And the first of those, Face the Raven, was where Clara ends up dying. Before that, in all the other episodes, she was always kind of reckless, always kind of, running in, doing things she probably shouldn't, basically putting herself in harm's way, doing a lot of things that the Doctor would do, acting a lot more like her, or like him, I should say. And in Face the Raven, she does the same thing, and it ends up kind of backfiring and killing her, because this is what happens when you try and do that. But, and this is the really interesting thing about it, is that the they didn't really foreshadow it. I mean, there was a little bit there, but right up until the moment you found out it was going to happen, there was always this, with the way the story was set up, it was kind of like, oh, well, she's got this mark on her now that's counting down. When it counts down to 0, it's going to die. But because he was able to give it to her, they always know there's only 2 ways to stop this. Either you give it to somebody else, or the one who put it on you stops it. So Clara figures, well, you put the mark on me, then when it comes time, because I'm under her protection, she has to stop it, and that'll be that. Boom, done. We're saved. Yay! So a brilliant logical plan. Only problem is it didn't quite work. So she ends up dying, and the whole thing comes pretty much out of the blue, which I loved. That they weren't building up to it. It's just all of a sudden, boom, this is going to happen, and you've only got this limited amount of time. Make your peace. And it's really, it provides wonderful tension. It provides wonderful opportunities for both Capaldi and Jenna Coleman, to act. And then the last 2 episodes were just mind blown, very off the wall and bizarre, especially down to the last bit, where I don't know how I feel. I really don't know how I feel about it, because you've got the Doctor heading off on his own in the TARDIS, but you've got Clara, who's technically immortal now, I guess, heading off with another immortal girl who you will have seen if you've been watching, Ashilda, otherwise known as Me. Those 2 heading off in their own TARDIS that looks like a diner, flying off. And it shows the end screen has the Doctor going this way and the diner going this way, and you off into the time stream. And I don't know how I feel about that, because part of me wants to go, please BBC, make a little spin-off series about Clara and Me doing fun stuff in their TARDIS for a little while, because that would be amazing. But part of me doesn't. So I don't know how I feel about that yet. But it's very interesting. What else has been happening? Onyx Path Publishing announced that they will be doing the Changeling 20th anniversary, which I will be having to shell out money for when it comes because I need to have it. I've already got the Werewolf 20 and Vampire 20. Mage 20 is coming and Wraith 20 is coming. So naturally, I'm going to get the Changeling 20. Very interested in that. They've got some fun things going on there. Uh, what else is there? I don't think there's too much else to talk about other than that fun stuff. Um, oh yes, one last thing. I just wanted to mention to Fantasy Flight Games and all you net runners out there, a really big fan of Film Critic. I put that in my deck with Chaos Theory, ran Chaos Theory against Argus Security with a friend of mine, and given the way Film Critic plays, it basically ends up negating their ability to do damage to me when I steal an agenda. Because for those of you who don't know, Film Critic lets you, when you access an agenda, you can choose instead of stealing it. Basically, when you access it, you may host it on Film Critic. You can only host one agenda at a time. So you can go, okay, I access this agenda, I host it on Film Critic. That agenda is now uninstalled. And then it's on Film Critic. I can spend, I think, a click or 2 clicks and put it in my score area. So according to the wording on the card, at no time do I ever actually steal the agenda, which is beautiful for tackling those cards that are set up to be like, I will do you all the damage in the world when you steal this. So, big fan of Film Critic. Big fan. I need to retool my NBN deck though. I gotta get more stuff to deal with my tracers, because I did an entire game with a friend of mine who just ignored the tracers. I didn't really have anything that I could use, so he was running with like no money and practically no money and no tracers, and it was just. I think by the end he actually won by stealing agendas, but at the end of the game, he he had something like 20 or 30 tags on his runner. Everybody knew where he was. It was very strange stuff. But yes, I guess that's about it for this little thing. Sorry again for my disappearance. I'm making up for it, however, because not only are you getting this week an episode of Depraved Indifference, an episode of You Should Be Reading, an episode of The Base, but I'm also going to be giving you an episode of Pravi's Wheelhouse, which hasn't come out in a little while, and possibly a character class. I'm going to see about maybe something else. I don't know. We shall see. But you're going to be getting a good 5 videos here, which is more than I usually put out a week. So that's for you guys. And until next time, keep fit and have fun. No, that's not going to work. That is a whole. That's Body Break, Hal Johnson and Jonah McLeod. One of these days I'm gonna get something for an outro here. I really am. See you next week.